SportsReplays. This is how it went this week. I've got a score of 2,123, which isn't that great. It's not my worst starting round, but it's not particularly great either. There's a few reasons why. So we'll just have a look at my team. Okay, so what we got here, we'll just undo all this. So this is how, so yeah. So we first start off with Dacos, 135, phenomenal player. Sammy Sheasel, 130. These are two generational players for their age and performing well above average. Outstanding. Not going to say too much about them. Then we go to Hayden Young, 70, who was disappointing. Considering Freo dominated or won the game pretty easily in the end. 70 is a bit disappointing. And hopefully he bounces back. I mean, everyone has this pick, so it's not a huge deal. Well, a lot of people have him. So it's not really, it's not going to impact my score or scoring too much, why I'm ranking too much. There's a better way of saying it. Williams, 51. It's not particularly good enough. I mean, it's not the worst ever, but you want him to get 70 or 80 at least, or roundabouts. This seems like he can't run out games. It's twice he's performed poorly in the last quarter, and I'm sort of on the fence of trading him out, to be honest. Probably won't do it this week because there's a few other issues I want to address. But if I didn't have a couple of these other injuries in my team, then he'll maybe potentially get traded out. I mean, if you don't have any other injuries or anything else to worry about, you could probably trade Williams. But I do have a bit of concerns with the selection, to be honest. We'll just have to wait and see for a few more rounds. I'm not gonna hold my breath too much, but yeah. Zach Reed, yeah, he got injured, so I'm not too sure how long he's gonna be out for. It's just frustrating. He's worked hard to get back to that fitness level, and he was doing well in the practice matches. And it's just an injury concern. It's just he gets injured in the second quarter, out for the rest of the game. So I don't know how many weeks this injury is. I haven't got any confirmation how many weeks. So I could either use him as a loophole for this week and potentially a few more weeks, depending if I got enough plays. This week I'll be fine. I've only got Williams, I believe, on my team, or my best 22 here that isn't going to be playing, so it's not a huge deal. But it's one of those things where you want as many players as playing as possible that aren't buy players. So Reed, plus he's not going to be making any money either. So at this point in time, if he's not playing either, so I'll probably most likely hold this week, because I just don't want to waste a boost early on unless it's necessary, unless it's a must-have play that's going to improve my team drastically, or it's a huge cash cow. So look, Reed's probably going to stay as a loophole, but he may be traded next week or the week after, depending how long the injury is. On to Howe, 64, so not quite as good this week, but still decent for his price point. I mean, Melbourne were a lot better this week, so Paul Wooden has been in the fence as much. So I'll take that. I'm happy with that. At least you get injured or do something, then get a crummy score. So probably one of the better defensive rookies this year, to be honest with you. And then we've got Josh Giskus, and the exact same reason of Reed. Gets injured fairly early in the game, and he looks like he's done for the season again. So him and Reed has had terrible luck with injury, and it just seems like they're just injury-prone players. They're just something always goes wrong. When things look well, and they just get injured. So I mean, we'll have to get rid of Gipkus simply because he's slightly higher priced, and I know Gibbs is definitely out for the season or for a longer period of time, so it's I'm going to have to get rid of Gipkus. And if you watch later in the video, I'll explain who I'm going to bring in for him. And Caulfield, 49. I mean, it's not great. It's not extremely bad. I mean, it's average, mediocre for the price. You probably want a bit more. Bulldogs were pretty bad yesterday. And look, he's just going to be a hold. We may need him to cover up for the buys. Probably will now. But yeah, look, 49. I'm not going to go too much depth into it. On to the midfield, 126 for Bontempelli. I guess that's just the standard. I mean, it wasn't over the top, but it wasn't terrible from Bontempelli. Yeah, looks probably clearly, Bulldogs' his best player. You can probably argue with English and Liberatore that. I mean, look, yeah, Bont, everyone has him, or most people have him. That takes Supercoach seriously. So Bont, yeah, he's just not really got too much, nothing really to say about his performance. I do have a fair amount to say about Dawson's performance. I did watch this game a little bit, and the conditions weren't particularly the best for kicking efficiency. It was just, it wasn't the best. It was a wet game. Adelaide were poor for pretty much 3 quarters. And the score line wasn't particularly reflective of the whole game, really. And 82 was not particularly that great. It's not terrible, but it's pretty bad for the price you paid for him. It's a bit frustrating because there's a few other players around this price point I was thinking about, like maybe a Matt Rao potentially, Sarong, who did a lot better. And that's what's frustrating because I could have gone with them. It's just tearing my hair out, to be honest, because I was on the fence about Matt Rowell and he goes bang, and then we'll soon see with Dawson. I'll give him another week. It's not the major concern with this side. I mean, I was sort of on the fence with Dawson, but I'm sure he'll have a few games at Adelaide Oval and perform a lot better there and make a comeback. And Tom Green, outstanding from Tom Green, 152. Happy that I picked him. Nothing much more what I can say. He's going to be tough to bring in now after the next week with his price rise, unless he performs absolutely terrible. He's just going to increase in price and it's going to be tough to bring him in. So to me, he's just a lock. Bring him in this week if you can. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult to get him. I'm glad I selected Tom Green. He may even win a Brownlow this season. Took Miller, 137. Happy with Miller. He's done well the last couple of weeks. Him and Matt Rowell, Anderson, and even Flanders have just done extremely well the last couple of weeks. And the reason why Gold Coast have won the last couple of matches. So, look, Miller seems like he's back to his best. And, it was a good selection picking Miller. It's a bit undervalued. But, he does have a bit of competition now in the midfield. It's not like a one-man army. So, we'll see how it goes when they do lose. Because he's going to have a few tougher games coming up soon. And there's a bye coming up as well. So, I mean, if you're going to bring him in, they'll probably bring him in this week or a bit after. But it's not really my concern. So I'm happy with Miller. Sort of save you this week. And Nick Martin, 63, probably the most disappointing player on my side, I would say, arguably. I mean, he did okay with Dream Team Fantasy, but it was just the kicking efficiency was some of the worst in the weekend. And luckily, look, it just cost us Essendon, in the first 3 quarters. And it was just shocking kicking out of defence. This is terrible. He got a good amount of disposals though, so it's not a huge concern in that regards. If he just cleans that up and improves his disposal efficiency, he should easily at least get an average of 80 or 90 at the bare minimum. I mean, that's what he would have gotten if he got a higher disposable efficiency. He just had a terrible disposable efficiency. He was just all overshot with his kicking. So I'm not a huge concern yet with Nick Martin. If he only got like 10 touches or something like that, then it'd be a bit of a huge return. But I'm confident, he'll I reckon that might be one of his weaker performances for the season. I just hope so. Because you need players like him to step up, and Ridley isn't playing. So Martin, I mean, look, I'll hold on to him because I've made a few other changes which sort of stuffed up my side how they went this week. But yeah, look, Martin, not I'll just hold on to him. And on to Bonner, 102, sort of saved my round again. It was a pod who did really well, so I'm happy with that selection so far. I reckon it's a good pickup for St Kilda. I mean, he should probably average 80 or 90, depending on how Sinclair, when he comes back, it impacts his scoring. But I'll probably hold on to him until I can upgrade to a Primo, or maybe a downgrade depending who's available. But Bonner, I'm just holding on for now, and he's look, he's done what I needed him to do. And Riley Sanders, this one's a bit frustrating because he got taken off for a sub, which I don't know why. It wasn't Bulldogs' worst player. And I reckon it sort of cost Bulldogs a bit in the last quarter. Why take out Sanders, who was doing, okay, which sort of boggles your mind. I mean, it's Luke Beveridge, so I'm not surprised. It's probably one of the most frustrating coaches to deal with in the AFL in terms of the Supercoach and just in general. Bulldogs were disappointing yesterday, and they should be performing a lot better. Didn't expect them exactly to win, but at least be a bit closer in the game. They got within range, but then died away towards the end there. So I'm not too sure what's going on there. Hope he's not going to be a sub risk or not get selected in future weeks. It's going to be a bit irritating for us Supercoach players, to be honest. It's just a bit frustrating. So look, I'll hold on to him. He's going to bounce back, hopefully, but it does have a little bit of a sour taste. Roberts 69, okay, just an average, nothing too extreme, but okay for his price points. He's going to generate some cash. Looks to be locked into Sydney's side. They've got multiple games now, 2 fantastic performances against 2 sides who finish in the top 4 during the home and away season. So look, I'll just hold on to him. Now on to the bench. Wilson 66, so I did lose 23 points there, which isn't too much of a big deal, to be honest with you. It's not what I'm really main concern about, which I'll address towards the end of the video. 66, that's what we want, and he'll be good coverage and maybe potentially even be on field, covering up some of the buys that are coming up. And then on to the 2 disappointing Geelong players, but particularly Jai Clark. 13 was just garbage for the amount of game time he played. Pretty pathetic. He did well in the pre-season, but now got huge concerns with his flick. He scored even less than Reed and Gibkes, who got injured halfway through their games or not even. So, 13 for a whole game is not good enough. I can understand if you're a sub in the last quarter, that's a different scenario. Because his teammate Mana got 29 in a quarter, which isn't particularly great. 29, but it's only for a quarter. So if he can play a full game out, he should be fine, I reckon. So Clark's a bit of a frustrating selection. I'm going to have to probably swap him for McKernacher, if not this week or next week. Depending on next week, I just don't want to make a trade this week or a boost, I should say, without seeing next week's scores. It's going to be that roulette scenario, and I don't really want to play that game until I see another week's game. Plus, I've still got at least decent midfielders on field. It's not particularly what I'm worried about as much, because the midfield's pretty strong this year in terms of rookie selections. So it's not a huge problem. Plus I've got Wilson here, I've got these other players as well. So I'll hold on for these 2. I do have quite a few Geelong rookies here, so that is probably a bit of a concern, but we'll talk about a few other players in a minute. So on to Rucks. We've got Grundy, and then I had Gawn here. So Grundy is a bit of a concern now. Everyone was hyping him up after last week's performance. And I reckon he did well last week, I think, because he was playing his old side. He wanted to prove a point, but struggled a bit against Collingwood. And 71's not particularly good enough. And I've got concerns, I'd rather move Grundy up to an English, to be honest. I might have to do that maybe into his buy, potentially. For I would rather have English. It's going to be more consistent. Yeah, he'll have his good games, Grundy, like he did last week, but he should be scoring a bit more. And then Gorn went bananas and proved people wrong. People got rid of him, would have been punished. 162. That's why you pick Gorn. I guess that's why you don't quite write off Melbourne just yet. But obviously use Livingston as a loophole. Now onto the forward line. Now for the most part here, the forward line was pretty good except one player, which I think we all know who that is. Luke Jackson 113. Fairly happy with that. Nothing too extreme, but nothing terrible. Did his job. It is without Darcy though, so I'd probably like a little bit more. And Freda did dominate a little bit. But I understand it was against Brisbane. So just be interesting to see when Darcy comes back. It's going to impact his scoring. I hope not, but I'll have him for now because it would help for the buyers in the coming weeks with Brody, Grundy, and Max Gorn. I'll just swap at the loophole, so that's going to help for early weeks. But we'll just have to wait and see with Darcy how he comes. And on to Flanders, another outstanding week. Outstanding game from Flanders, 128. Happy with that. Look, there's nothing more I can really say. He's done what he wanted to do and probably exceeded that. Now on to someone who was very disappointing, Fisher. Now everyone has Fisher, or most people, but it's just frustrating when you have players like Thomas Berry and Billings who are a lot lower in price, who performed a lot better. It's just irritating, because I've sort of got trapped into this pick. Everyone sort of jumped on him and I thought I'll follow the crowd, which sometimes can be a good and bad thing. With these sort of selections, he hasn't had too much history of high scoring. There's always been a risk to it. It is only 1 week, but I'm going to have to get rid of him because, I need to bring in the cash now. I'm bringing Berry. Maybe potentially Billings, who probably will score more. But I just want that extra cash, even if I can bring in McKercher, just in case there's some issue next week. Either an injury or there's a player who performs extremely well that I must bring in. Plus, you have, be less of a roulette next week. You have players who have played another extra game and it'd be easier to make a prediction with rookie roulette. And it's easy to predict who's going to go up in price more, who's stagnate, who don't you get rid of. So I will get rid of Fisher this week. Probably Berry, maybe Billings. We'll see how we go with that. Because I don't want another Melbourne player or we're going to have a few Gold Coast players, but I'm not too fussed. It's about bringing in money now. James Dawden, 84. Similar score this week. Not too bad. Standard. He's going to make us some money. He's not going to be an extremely high scorer, but look, if you can do that performance every week, that's fine. We may have to trade him too after the buys. Now, on to Harley Reid, 78. Probably did what I expected. Expect Reid to average around about 80 this year. He's not going to go too bananas, but he's not going to be not going to be terrible either. He does have that mid-forward status as well, so that will help with other swapping players around. And then on to Sexton, 63. He's okay. He's not particularly the best, but it could be a lot worse. The Gold Coast, they were okay defensively, Gold Coast, for the majority of the game. It was a wet game too, so it's probably not going to suit a player, particularly like Sexton. He's a bit more of a skillful type player. 63, he's going to make us some money. Anyway, it's okay. I'm not fussed. It's not my biggest concern with his side. Then onto the bench for the forwards, and they did extremely well. I made it. I'm happy with these two selections. Took the gamble with Dempsey and Cabin, and it sort of pulled off. Cadman's going to make us money, and Dempsey got 96. So I did lose a bit of points there, which is a bit frustrating because actually Cadman and Dempsey did better than Fisher. So that's what's frustrating about this. You pick players who high price, they do crap, and then you get someone who's a lot cheaper who does better. It just really makes a bit of a mockery of Supercoach, to be honest. Just frustrating. I think there's a few things that I've learned from this round is just don't follow the crowd when you're not really concerned on it yourself. And if you do miss out, you can either bring it the next week or the week after. If a player that you haven't picked and the crowd has, you can bring them on if you can. There's a way of doing it. It's sort of like with McKersha. But McKersha's 200k. Fisher's only 378, so he's going to have to go. So we're going to do the trades. Another thing too, I did have Massimo, for a couple weeks ago, and then he gets a 124, 120, and it just stuffs up the old plan that I had with Nick Martin. So it's sort of a few things that just went against me, and having Reed on field just stuffed up everything as well. So I'll just look, going back here. We'll just have to get rid of Gibcast. Bring in Massimo. And get rid of Fisher. So we'll trade out Fisher. And then trade out Gibcast. Fence. So we've got Hawthorn. And then the forward I want to pick in is forward Gold Coast. Thomas Berry. Alright, that leaves 161k. Now I could bring in Billings, but I have less money left over. If this is a safety next week, just in case there's a player who does extremely well, that's a must bring in. So that's what I'm going to do for now. There could be potentially late change. I'm not too sure who anything else, any other players I want. I know Hogan's gone big. You can't take the risk on him, but he's more of a short-term option. Plus he has the bye coming up. And same with Mackay, he had the bye. So people have started with them too. We're a bit lucky. You can bring those two in, and probably ideally I want to bring in either bring in Billings or Berry just because they're cheaper. But it'll be really up to you what you decide. So hopefully it does look a lot better now. Extra money. I'll probably Brozio with Reed, so that should be fine. And I'll put probably Caulfield in this week. So I'll cover up Williams. And Reed. No, I don't think Reed's going to play, but we'll just have him there just in case. That leaves. Yeah, so I've got a full side in. This should be too bad this week. But who knows? Yeah, people read Martin. I wouldn't trade Martin yet. Even Williams, Clark. I can understand. Billings, Heaney. Wait and see with him. And Hall did alright, so I may have to potentially get in Hall for Reed next week as well. And then maybe McKercher. Or maybe another midfielder in next week. I'm not going to use up another boost yet, because I don't really want to. Even though I probably could bring in either a Hall or a McKercher. They're not going to go and increase in price yet. So I'll wait that out until next week. Potentially use a boost next week. Go full aggressive with bringing in the cash cows. But I think play it safe this week. That way we get a better picture next week of who's going to increase in value the most. And who's a must-have and whatnot. Okay. So thank you for watching, everyone, and have a great week.